Welcome back to Recap in Minutes. In today's video, we will be going through a 1995 American fictional film called Outbreak. This movie focuses on a fictional virus carried by a host monkey from Africa and start to infect the whole population. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The story begins in 1967, during the Kinshasa War in Republic of Congo, formerly known as Zaire. In a mercenary camp, we see the arrival of two men in protective masks. They came in response to a viral disease that creeped into the camp, leaving numerous soldiers sick and dead in less than 24 hours. They collect blood samples from an infected soldier and return back to the helicopter, where one of the men orders the other, named Billy, to get a plane to the camp very soon. Within a short period of time, a plane is seen approaching the camp. The soldiers think it's for supplies, but airdrops a thing which blasts the whole camp, leaving the camp in ashes. The two men unmasked did that so that the virus may be stopped from spread. Now the movie takes us further to 28 years after the incident, showing Colonel Daniel, a virologist doctor working for the U.S. Army. Bathing his dogs, he receives a call, which he tells the situation of a level 4 viral disease outbreak in Zaire with a high mortality. In the next scene, Daniel goes to his recently divorced wife Robbie to leave their dogs with her as he prepares to leave for Zaire. Before he leaves, they have a small marital quarrel. The next day, he is prepared to go to Zaire. He meets Billy, now a brigadier general and Daniel's superior officer, to get more inside information about the situation in Zaire. On the plane, his crew, Major Casey and a new recruit, Major Salt. Colonel Daniel interrogates Salt to know whether he has been on the field, but finds out this will be his first time. They arrive in Zaire, a village where this virus broke out. They discover corpses of the villagers lying on the floor. They are shocked because the situation has gone worse. They enter into a building where they see dying mothers, fathers, and children at the last stage of the disease. Seeing this, Major Salt freaks out. He cannot hold it and takes off his helmet. Due to risk to the exposure to the virus, Colonel Daniel asks to isolate him, but a random man appears and tells them the virus do not spread through the air. He happens to be a doctor. He tells Daniel the whole village is dead. The virus kills in 2 or 3 days, and the mortality is 100%. It is revealed about the patient Zero, a man who worked with a white man to build a road into Kinshasa, returns to the village sick and drinks from this well. From there, it spread through the entire village. After gathering information, they return to the United States. Daniel speaks to Billy about the virus because he fears that the virus will spread, but Billy dismisses him. Back in Zaire, a white-headed capuchin monkey, that's host to the virus, is captured and smuggled by a Chinese man into the country on a ship. We then see a man, Jimbo, a worker at the animal testing laboratory, steal a monkey from the laboratory and bribes his way out of the place to sell the monkey on the black market. On his way the next day to sell the monkey in his car, the monkey spits water into his mouth, unaware he is infected. He fails to sell the monkey to a pet store owner at the coastal California town of Cedar Creek. The monkey scratches the pet store owner, and he gets wounded blood injury, causing him to be infected too. He realizes the monkey is now useless. He then releases the monkey in the woods outside of the nearby community of Palisades. While testing this sample of the virus in the U.S. Army High Technology Laboratory, Colonel Daniel and his team discovers how fatal the virus is. It spreads rapidly by contact and can kill within 24 hours. This same virus spread 28 years ago. Major General Donald meets General Billy. They were both the masked men that had the infected camp wiped out 28 years ago, to keep this virus a secret. Donald asked Billy to keep Daniel out of the case so he won't mess up the biological weapon they have been working on for over the past 30 years. The next scene shows Jimbo on a flight to Boston. Sitting on the plane, he begins to develop the signs and symptoms of the virus. At his arrival in the airport, he meets with his girlfriend and they kiss, not realizing he's infected. Moment right after, he started acting strangely while his girlfriend screamed for help. At the same time, the pet store owner at the town Cedar Creek feels so sick and collapses. He is rushed into the town's hospital where the doctor tries to resuscitate him. Same time, a laboratory technician withdraws his blood for testing. While running the test, he accidentally breaks the vial, and the blood sample splashes all over to his face. Obviously, he is also infected. After this, the worst things that can happen to humanity begins. Robbie, Daniel's ex-wife, and also a doctor at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. Upon hearing the case in Boston, in which the doctors there can't figure it out, she moves to the town and tries to get relevant information from Jimbo, but unfortunately he dies. She takes a post-mortem test, where she discovers all of Jimbo's internal organs are liquefied. She immediately notifies her ex-husband Daniel. The same lab technician goes to a movie cinema, where his health state goes bad. He coughs into the air. As a result, virus spreads to other people. He goes outside to get water, and he falls and then hospitalized. Right after, the whole town of Cedar Creek begins to show signs and symptoms and rush to the town's hospital. The hospital begins to fill up. The disease is spreading rapidly. General Donald orders General Billy on the phone to quarantine the town and impose martial law on the Cedar Creek residents, and also create a media blackout to prevent the world from knowing the actual truth about the virus, to protect their selfish interest. They have the whole town filled with military securing the perimeter of the small town of 2,600 people. Against General Billy's order, Colonel Daniel's team arrive at the town's hospital. He meets with Robbie. After he is showed where the infected patients have been isolated, then he is called for a patient who has been admitted in the hospital before the outbreak. He also develops the disease, apparently with no contact with an infected. Daniel discovers the man contacted the disease by airborne, as a result from the roof vent connecting the man's room to the isolated room. This makes him understand that the virus has mutated and can now be contacted through the air. After a series of contact tracing, they come to understand an animal host that has the virus must be carrying the antibodies to the virus. So Robbie visits the pet store and discovers a sick monkey, realizing is just an infected monkey, not the animal host they are looking for. This monkey get infected by eating the monkey host banana when Jimbo brought it to the store. The situation of the city has gone worse, and there is disturbance among the people. Some of the residents try to escape, but the army interferes and does not allow anyone to step out the town's perimeter. In order to prevent this epidemic further, General Billy considers providing an antiserum called E1101. Because he and General Donald had worked with the virus in the past, they preserved the virus for use as a biological weapon, not knowing the virus would somehow break out. The virus has mutated. The antiserum doesn't have an effect on the patient. Daniel realizes that his superior were aware of the virus before the outbreak. He questions Billy, but lied it's an experimental antiserum from a virology lab. Following due to this mutated virus that can be transmitted by air, the army orders everyone to stay indoors and tell them if they have symptoms they should indicating by hanging a white cloth on their front door. The army comes seeing the white cloth and brings the infected people in for their treatment. On the other side, Daniel's partner Major Casey is experimenting in the laboratory. His suit accidentally tears and his protection is in doubt, but he does not mention this to anyone, even when Robbie asks him. Soon, while working, he collapses and he's rushed to the hospital. While Robbie tries to inject him, she accidentally pierces herself, causing her to be infected too. Robbie flees the scene and Daniel goes after her. Knowing she is infected, he goes to confront Billy. In there he discovers the president has authorized General Donald on Operation Clean Sweep tonight, a plan to contain the virus by bombing Cedar Creek, to prevent the virus's expansion to pandemic proportion. Returning back to the hospital, Major Salt tells Daniel he gets a call from the animal testing laboratory, saying a security let Jimbo smuggled an animal out of the facility, and it came in on a ship from Africa. To prevent Daniel from finding a cure, General Donald orders him to be arrested for carrying the virus. Daniel escapes. He and Major Salt fly a helicopter to the ship which carried the monkey. He is shown the corpse of the Chinese man who first made contact with the host monkey. He died from the virus. Daniel discovers the picture of the monkey. He then goes to a media station and hijacked during a recording. He asks people to contact him if anyone sees the monkey on the picture. A Palisades resident, Mrs. Jeffries, realizes that her daughter Kate has been playing with the monkey and makes a call. Daniel and Salt arrives at the Jeffries' house. They makes Kate coaxes the monkey, where Salt tranquilizes it. When Billy learns from Daniel about the monkey capture, he delays the bombing. On their return flight, Daniel and Salt are chased by Donald in another helicopter. Salt fires 2 rockets into the trees to deceive him, thinking that they crashed. Once back in Cedar Creek, Salt mixes the monkey's antibodies to create an antiserum. Although Casey is dead, they gave Robbie the antiserum and order the laboratory to make more for the whole town. Donald returns to base and resumes Operation Clean Sweep, refusing to listen to Billy. Robbie gets better, but Salt reports the plane is in the air coming to drop the bomb. Daniels and Salt fly their helicopter directly into the path of the bomber's approach to its target. Daniel persuades the bomber's flight crew not to drop the bomb, but because they are trained not to listen against an order. It took them a while to realize what they are about to do, and with Billy's help, the bomber's crew detonate the bomb over the water and spare the town. Before Donald can order another bombing, Billy relieves him of command and orders his arrest. At the end, Daniel and Robbie reconcile as Cedar Creek's residents are cured. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to get notice when a new video is uploaded.